15 years, the damage that load shedding has brought to this economy has been incalculable.
The death toll from the recent floods in the South African province of KwaZulu-Natal has risen to 49.
After a fairly subdued night, the Knysna fires have begun to grow again.
We begin tonight with a nation already on edge in the coronavirus pandemic as protests turn violent.
London's burning and no one seems able to bring it under control.
You're listening to Off-Grid Survival, South Africa's first prepper podcast.
And we are your hosts, Brett and Ben.
Good morning, Brett. How are you today?
Morning, Ben. Yeah. Dude, I've still got a cold. Can you believe this? I was booked off work now for 3 days with bloody bronchitis. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm still a bit croaky, sound a bit like a frog. I think I might have brought back a bit of a bug from Cape Town. We went on for a week's leave down to Cape Town and
nice.
Had a bit of a road trip and went to go see that Calabash concert, the Green Day and Offspring at the Cape Town Stadium, which was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to. But yeah, my paranoia came out a little bit with me there. So many people, 56,000 people all crammed together, and yeah, makes you a bit nervous.
Yeah, you sent me that picture. I would do my head.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
So we were at the back of what was traditionally Golden Circle, right before General Standing. So there's actually a barricade between General Standing and Golden Circle.
Okay.
So we deliberately put ourselves at that spot because there is space around you.
Yes.
That you don't have people literally squeezing into you, because that I would have probably ended up decking somebody. As it is, every second drunk person walking past you just bumps you and spills beer on you and all of that. But yeah, it was a really great experience. It was nice to get away from work for a while. And yeah, just listen to some good classic rock and roll punk music and let some energy out.
Mm. So how was Cape Town, besides the concert, after being up in the quiet side of life?
Yeah, we've been up this side of the world for 5-6 years now. This town's got one traffic light. So literally a one-stop town. And going back, I've been back to Cape Town at least twice a year since we moved up here. But the driving is different. The people's reactions are different. And there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of vehicles. If you're not used to, and you can get very unused to the roads very quickly. I used to be a sales rep. I used to be one of those guys zipping in and out of the lanes and, doing all that. And getting back into that, it took me a couple of days to just reacclimatize to the style of driving and the levels of aggression of driving.
So you have to dig down deep, or
you've just got to not give a damn, basically. Like, if there's a gap, you take it. Because if you don't take it, you can indicate for the next half an hour, nobody's going to let you in. So there is a certain level of aggression involved with that kind of driving. And even just walking around the shops and that sort of thing, there's just very different lifestyle to up here on the Garden Route. This is old sleepy up here, definitely.
Yeah. But, how much or how easy was it to tap into like the stress and stuff? I know you're away from work, but you still got stress that you can relieve by being an aggressive driver.
Like I said, I used to be a sales rep, so I was on the road every single day, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and it comes back to you pretty quickly.
Yes.
It's fairly easy to do that sort of thing. The other people in the car might not be too happy about it. But yeah, it was a good trip. But yeah, even just going down to Cape Town, we obviously went down the N2 and then we went through the mountains a little bit and just took a fairly easy trip through. We didn't rush down or anything. And from here to Cape Town, it was close to 6 hours on the road each way, which, in the greater scheme of things, 6 hours isn't a lot of driving.
So you kept to the speed limit?
Yeah, very much so. I don't. My whole thing is, why court trouble? Why look for trouble? There's plenty of cops on the road. There's also stop and goes and that sort of thing with roadworks. So you don't want to be stupid on the road. I've seen way too many accidents in my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, as a rep, I saw accidents on a monthly basis where cars have rolled, and because guys drive like idiots.
Yeah. And also these expensive selfie shots all the way down, It's tremendous.
Yeah. And we used to call them family photo opportunities. Cram everybody into the front seat and see how many pictures you can get.
It's like when you go to Rotanga Junction or one of those places.
It's gone now, dude.
You get on the roller coaster. The first time round, all your photos are like bad looking, and then you learn that they put on a good face.
When to pull a face, yeah. But yeah, one of the things with being prepared is learning how to drive and being aware of your surroundings, situational awareness, that sort of thing, and long distance open road driving, not taking chances. Don't overtake the truck if you don't need to overtake the truck. These guys that, there's 20 cars in a row behind a truck, and now you get that one guy from the back of the line that he's got his fancy SUV and he just puts foot and he tries to overtake all 20 cars and the truck at the same time while there's oncoming traffic. I saw it 10 times in the trip. And it always blows my mind when guys do, because they're taking everybody else's life into,
Yeah, but that also depends. How slow is everyone driving? Because you get some of these guys that you have 10 guys behind a truck and you have miles of open road and not one person overtakes, and you're like, come on guys, really, we're traveling below the speed limit and no one is overtaking.
So I noticed with a lot of especially the smaller delivery trucks, they've got a 80 kilometer sticker on now.
Yes.
The bigger trucks, it's normally 100 kilometers.
But you get a lot of those folks that they refuse to give way at all.
They do not yellow line drive at all anymore.
Yeah, but you don't yellow line drive, but you can give way.
Yeah.
And it's different from yellow line driving.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be able to see down the road and everything anyway. Yes. And it's just common courtesy to just give away a bit.
So my car. It's the world's largest car. It's got a massive engine.
It's camoed to no end.
No, I've got a 1 liter engine, little Suzuki Espresso. Okay. This thing gets blown around on the road when there's a stiff breeze. So overtaking a truck with that can be Interesting. But if you read the road properly, okay, cool. You know how your car's going to react. You know what kind of acceleration you've got. You haven't overloaded your vehicle. You can pull away. And if drop a gear, go for it. If you've got space. But what kept getting me was these guys in these big, heavy SUVs who think they're indestructible. And they just take chances, and they're taking everybody else's life into their hands, basically, by doing stupid stuff.
Yes.
Overtaking on blind rises, overtaking on blind corners where you can't see what's happening.
No, that's daft.
No, it happened so often. It was insane.
I remember when I still had my little Golfie. It was a little 1300 old 1981 Golfie.
Dude, those are the best cars ever.
To overtake, you would have to start accelerating from a K behind the truck and hope by the time you get to the truck, there's no one there so you can go around them. And I remember the one time driving back up to Joburg, I was behind a truck in the rain, and the spray coming off the truck, you couldn't see where the road was. You couldn't see if there was a car coming. It was at night. And you're doing like 60, 70 Ks an hour in 120 zone. I was like, no. And eventually I just said to the guys in the car, dude, you better start praying. And I sent it to get past them, And it's like, I eventually, against what I wanted, I bought a BMW, like the 320D.
Blik met Villa.
Now, I can understand why people think BMW drivers are a-holes,
Yeah.
Because, man, when you got that much power and you put your foot down and you're gone, you don't have to worry. You see that it's clear, you drop a gear, and you passed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even have to drop a gear. And it is such a pleasure, especially with cruise control, doing a long trip, and you get to the other side and you relaxed. Whereas your little car, you're fighting the wind, you're fighting thing, and you have to constantly, you're either underpowered going up the hill, or you have to start slowing down going down the hill because there's a speed limit.
So, yeah. I got my car purely because it's economical.
Yeah.
I didn't look at, it's got a bit of clearance, I can do a bit of off-roading with it, but it's not a 4x4. Yeah. It's not a high-powered vehicle. But at the same time, I live 3 kilometers from work.
Yes. Well, I got my BMW because it was cheaper than buying the Merc of the same time.
And yeah, so just to give you an idea, to get to Cape Town fuel-wise in the car cost us less than 500 Rand.
Okay.
For 600 kilometers. It's got a 30-litre tank. We didn't even use the whole tank from here to Cape Town.
We're trailing wind or?
Following wind, dude.
Following wind, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you put out a sail, you'd have saved even more.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is quite a square car, so it does push. No, but it was, like I said, it was a good trip. But there are a couple of things that I did do as a prepper before going on the trip. Obviously, do a vehicle check tires, water, oil, all of that sort of stuff. But like, what did I pack with? I took my big ass first aid kit, the one that I take everywhere. Everyone said, "Why do you take that thing with you?" I was like, I never know what's going to happen. You know, having my little IFAC in my EDC, that's one thing. But with my big first aid kit, I've got everything I need in there if there is an accident or something like that.
Yes.
Then I put a car kit together. Not something I normally do because of the short distances that I normally drive. But I had 4 24-hour MRE kits that I made that are in there. 2 liters of water per person. Survival blankets, that sort of thing. Just in one little day pack. And just sat in the car. Never used it. Didn't need to use it.
Are you not afraid that people are going to break into your car and steal?
Okay, so when we got to Cape Town, I took everything out.
Okay.
I leave nothing in my car. This is just for the actual drive. And so I had the stuff just in case the car broke down or there was a flood and the roads got washed out. That has happened before. And we got stuck somewhere. We would have had food for 2 days for 2 people. We had all our clothes and stuff with us, and we had pillows and blankets and everything in the car anyway. So I didn't have to take that kind of thing. And I had my standard EDC with me as well. So I had my gear with me. Didn't need to use any of it, which is great. But it was there in case I did.
It's like a parachute.
Yep.
You know, if you don't need it, that's great. But
Yep.
if you need it and don't have it, well,
That's not that great.
not that great. No.
Yeah, so that was our trip. It was good to get away for a while. Go see some family and friends. Went to go see friends of ours that have got a little company called Darkside Leathercraft. They've just got themselves a very cool new toy called a laser engraver.
Nice.
So we are hopefully going to get some laser engraved leather work done for us for our merch soon. Our caps have been ordered. They're on their way, I believe. So yeah, we're getting there. Things are happening.
No, that's awesome.
And we started a Discord server as well. I asked a couple of episodes ago if anybody thought it would be a cool idea, and a couple of people got back to me saying that would be awesome. So we're busy setting it up at the moment. It'll be like an old-style chat forum. You'll be able to access old episodes, give ideas for new episodes, have a chat with myself mainly. I don't know if Ben will be on it much. But yeah, you know, it's just another alternative to Facebook and Instagram and stuff, which gets weird sometimes with certain things and censoring and that sort of stuff, and I'm just getting tired of that. So yeah, it's just good to have more channels open to us. We will be going on X soon, I believe, as well as YouTube with some shorts. Yeah, no, we pushing ahead.
Yeah. If you
Hello, everybody.
if you see this on YouTube, then you'll see Brett. His camera can't handle my face, it might break. So I'll stay off of it till we get a camera that can handle it.
Yeah. We might just get the back of your head occasionally.
Dude, that's not much better. Eh?
Anyway,
with this amount of baldness, it will definitely mess with your your white balance.
yeah. So I think today we're just gonna have as we are now, just a general chat. We also took an opportunity to watch a pretty recent release prepper movie, or prepper based movie, which we were going to talk about a bit just now. We talked the other day, a couple of episodes ago, also about ordering some stuff off Temu and doing some product tests. Those orders have been placed, and we will see if a light stick actually does last for 12 hours, like they say,
Okay.
or if it just lasts for 2. And we'll give you feedback on all that stuff. I actually do have some stuff here that we can even look at just now, that I got from a previous order. And what's happening with the website, dude?
Yes, it's we obviously got together with the developer and chatted and stuff. It is in process, so we'll be able to see later on.
Yeah.
And get all those things. What I know about a website is dangerous. I know what I don't like when I'm on.
When you see it, yeah.
Yeah, but when you're actually building your own one from scratch,
It's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, but also, like you don't know what you want. You know what you don't like on other people's websites, but you don't want to be one of those people that go onto your own website and like, nah, dude, this is horrible.
Yeah, just like choosing a color palette. We didn't even think of that until the developer said to us, like, what kind of colors do you guys want to use? And we're like, oh, okay, we hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot in that. But I think between the website, with all our social media, everything, I think we're going to build this community. We're on 174 followers on Spotify at the moment. I think it's nearly 150 on Facebook. And yeah, with everything else, yeah, we keep growing the community, and that's what's great. Keep commenting, keep liking, send us 5-star reviews occasionally, please. Please, 5-star reviews on Spotify. They do help us with the algorithm.
Yeah.
Anything from your side?
Not really. Work, more work.
Yeah.
Any moment I don't have work, I try not to work. But there's not a lot of those moments. And yeah. One thing I was doing is looking at, now we don't talk politics and stuff.
Yeah.
But with Trump taking office in America, whether you like him or don't, or however, the one thing I've been noticing on our local feeds in South Africa, they were saying that with the policies Trump has put in place now, the ANC and our government likely to come under fire, and things are going to get a bit harder. And then when you take like the last, I think a week ago or something, that the ANC has pushed through that expropriation
of land bill, yeah,
without compensation. When you start looking at all those things and thinking of a prep point of view, and also after watching the movie that we look at, it's thinking about how easy it is for a government to turn around and saying all your prep, the fact that you built a house, bought the property, built the house, and bought all your goodies, prepped ahead of time, and then they turn around and say, okay, well, actually, we're taking away for the greater good, to redistribute the wealth, redistribute the land, because they don't see that you need it, or in their mind, they don't think you need it.
Yeah.
And this is one thing, coming back to one of the books I've read, and they said it's very important to make sure that in your operational security, you keep your stuff to you, your information, whether you're in a mag or personally. And then it comes down to also in South Africa, is it better to have your gear at your house, or is it better to make sure that you have multiple caching points at your house and other places that aren't traceable, that only you know about? Okay.
I think if you're talking about that sort of thing, that also comes down to whether you're in an urban or rural environment. So in an urban environment in the city, having caches stashed around is not going to be easy. There's just too many people, and someone's going to find your stuff pretty quickly. Whereas in a more rural environment like where we're in, where there is open land, even if it's government or private land around us, you've got an opportunity to maybe dig a pit and bury something or like that. How necessary is it? What kind of prep? It all depends what kind of prepping you're doing. Are you prepping for natural disasters, or are you prepping for societal collapse? If you're doing more the societal collapse, which is kind of like what you're talking about there, where you would be not hoarding food, because we're not hoarders, we're preppers, and we're thinking ahead.
Yes.
We're not just buying stuff for the sake of buying it. That's what a hoarder would do. But we're buying stuff with a specific purpose.
But that said,
the mindset of other people won't see it that way.
Yeah, but that said, what a person might consider a hoarder, you know what? You call me a hoarder because I've got stuff that you think I don't need.
Yeah.
Okay? Yet I've spent my money, and this is the whole thing. A capitalist mentality is, I spent my money on it. This stuff is now mine.
Yeah.
Socialist is like, I don't think you should have that. We're going to redistribute it. And that mentality swaps very quickly. But now you talked about societal collapse or natural disaster.
Yeah.
But now there's a third one, government overreach.
Yes.
Okay, so now in South Africa, do I think society is going to collapse, natural disaster or government overreach? I tend to government overreach first, which might cause a societal collapse. Yeah. So the one, or just the fact that the government will try and do the overreach and then run the country down, and then we have the societal collapse.
I think in most cases you're going to get government overreach of some sort, even in a natural disaster scenario. If it's bad enough, you're going to get the government coming in and going, you've got X space, people need to stay here, or you've got water on your farm, we need that water to,
fight fires,
yeah. Or whatever the case may be. That can be all considered government overreach.
Yes, but also if you think of that, most people with a big dam and there's a fire, they're like, dudes, come fetch water. It's not a thing of, this is my water, because they're fighting a fire in your area. So what you giving them protects you. It's different to where the government comes onto your land. You've paid for the dam. You've paid for everything. And they say, this dam is not yours anymore. We're going to put a water meter. So everything that you use off of your dam, your pump, your electricity, you're going to pay water, per liter. That is a different thing to you offering up your water for firefighters.
Well, not quite the same, but in a similar vein. I saw something the other day, don't know how true it is, that the SABC now wants a licensing tax for cell phones to go to them, because people can potentially watch programs on their phone.
Yeah, but
that's again, it's government overreach.
Yeah, it's this whole thing of, I want something for nothing. Yeah. They wanted to nail Netflix, that Netflix charged South African citizens more to pay to SABC because it's lost viewership. And it's like, the reason there's lost viewership on the SABC is because it is
the programming is not great.
Not good. And the thing is, if you put stuff on that people don't want to see, and the thing is, understand that you want to cater for all the demographics in South Africa. Yeah. But when the people that pay TV licenses aren't watching the TV because you pander to everybody who doesn't pay TV licenses. That's a problem. Then people just say, sorry, I'm moving away. Now, the SABC can move to a cable base or a satellite base or decoder base or anything like that, the same as DSTV or anything, any of those, but they don't do that because nobody would actually buy it.
Yeah.
Because you get nothing for what you're doing. And then everybody that does actually listen to all those things and all that propaganda and all that, they don't have the money to spend on it.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy situation. This country is very different to a lot of other developing and first world nations. But yeah, we can go into that some other time.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the government overreach and stuff is when you're having first world countries, whether it is China, Canada, America, the US, Britain, Germany.
Yeah.
If you get government overreach, which happens, okay. Actually, funny enough, Donald Trump is the one thingy executive order he signed was they have a 10-for-1. For every one law that they want to bring in, they need to get rid of 10. So for every one regulation they want to bring, they have to get rid of 10 regulations, okay, to try and deregulate to stimulate growth in the country. Because at the moment the regulation is so bad that it costs so much and takes so long to get permissions and stuff. So that's actually a kind of an example of less government overreach. But still, regardless of which country, first world country it is, there's government overreach.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So can we expect this whole country here, that is the clown status in the world, to not have government overreach?
Yeah.
Because they want to push all their policies. They want to pretend like they're a global
player.
Yeah, a global player. But they have nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And then now, this weekend, as we're recording, all of a sudden, after 10 months, hey guys, load shedding in 3 hours. It's like, excuse me, what? It's literally been 10 months. I think the guys at Eskom Push, that app, were like, oh, we're employed again! Yay! We can do some work. But yeah, it was insane. It was like I got a WhatsApp from our local councillor with basically a letter from Eskom. I did put it out on all our socials as well, saying that there's a possibility of stage 4 load shedding in the next 3 hours. And it's like, how? All of a sudden.
But you know why it happens?
I got my suspicions.
Because they want an increase, and then the people say, no, you can't, and then suddenly there's load shedding.
Yep. Look what we can do. We can turn the button off.
But what I want to know, and I still would love to find a platform I could actually put it on, is that I pay availability charge every single day for my electricity. Okay? So it accounts to quite a few R100 a month that I have to pay availability fee. And yet I do not get a discount on that availability fee when I turn on something and it doesn't work because Eskom shut me down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to know why I don't get a discount on that. Because you are selling me a product to be available when I want it. That's why I pay availability fee, and then you switch it off. If you paid Netflix for the chance to watch movies, and they don't care if you watch or not, but you pay you R140 a month or whatever it is, and you switch on Netflix and it didn't work.
And every time, refund.
Or halfway through, they just switch off, so no service available. How quickly would you just unsubscribe? Now, we don't have that opportunity without major regulation in South Africa and cost, because if you put up a solar system in your house, then suddenly you have all this regulation you have to go through, and then Eskom still wants you to pay a connection fee to them, even if you're not.
Yeah, I saw something the other day again about even if you're not grid tied. So if you've got a solar system, a full solar system on your house, like a friend of mine does, you are grid tied. So you're tied into the grid, but you're not supplying electricity into the grid, and you're not taking anything out of the grid. You're just connected.
No, but the thing is, because you have the ability to take out. So it's not a grid tie system, okay? And it's also not an island system, but you are connected to the grid so that you, at any point, you can draw. So you're a solar generator, but you're not a solar supplier.
Yeah, because we don't actually have that in South Africa yet.
Well, you can.
Not for personal use. They don't have that licensing sorted.
Yeah, but it costs a whole bunch, and it's the problem with those grid tie systems that use the Eskom as a battery.
Yeah.
When Eskom goes down, your system shuts down. You can't even run your own stuff because you're tied to the grid.
Yeah.
But now, what they're wanting is if you are connected to solar, say you have a solar system here with a solar panel, so when the power's out, you can charge your batteries and stuff like that, but you don't ever use electricity. Just because you are connected, they want X amount a month. Okay?
For not doing anything.
For not doing anything, just because.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a wrong mentality. And
solar tax or something, I think they're calling it.
But also, Eskom is one of the only companies that sell a product in the world that the more you buy, the more expensive.
Charge. Yes.
So now, you buy a small amount, it costs you little. But you buy wholesale, so you buy a huge amount, and it costs you more.
Yeah.
It's like, how daft are you? How are you not making money? Why are you needing to increase tariffs? If that is your business model, you should be raking in gold bars, let alone money.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I do not understand it.
Oh, the main problem is that the municipalities that they supply aren't paying them. Where the individuals like us that pay our electricity for our electricity meters or however we do
it, municipality.
We're paying to the municipality. The municipality then isn't paying Eskom, and that's where the problem comes in.
Okay, that's an enforcement problem.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a legal problem. It's not a supply problem. Now, if Eskom was privatized, okay, or they split, like at one stage, one of the presidents was saying they wanted to split Eskom into production and transmission and then storage.
Yeah.
So then you can have Eskom transmission, one set of lines everywhere, like it is now. But now, I want to put in a massive battery system that can supply the region. Okay. Now suddenly I go into the storage side. So I'm only competing with the storage side. So I can supply through transmission. And then you have generation on the other side. So if another person wants to put up a massive wind farm, all they're doing is competing with generation, Eskom generation side.
Yeah.
And then it all works easier. But because everything is government funded and the government would rather spend the money somewhere else. So now it's the taxes we pay go towards running the stuff, and then every unit we buy goes towards running the stuff, and it's still not being run properly. Where's all that money going?
Back pockets.
Yeah, paying massive salaries and massive bonuses for not doing your job. Sorry. Yeah, if that was any other company that us as shareholders in this country, okay,
people would lose their minds. Yeah.
Because I've got a green ID or a South African ID. Well, shows my age, but anyway, every person with a South African ID is a shareholder in this company we call South Africa.
Yeah.
We employ a manager or a CEO to run this company. It's called a president. Okay? It is our company. We just employ him. Any other company, if the CEO was doing a bad job or the other people, the managers that we hired were doing a bad job, we would replace them.
Yeah.
Okay? You cannot have a CEO making decisions that negatively impact the company and that the shareholders don't get rid of that CEO.
Yeah, and that's why we have elections. As I said, so many people don't understand how it actually works that they keep voting for the same thing over and over again and digging the hole deeper and deeper.
people muddy the waters by saying, okay, well, it's a race thing or a demographic thing or whatever thing. Ultimately, it comes down to you have one share in South Africa. Each person here. Yep. We've got a vote. We have one share. It is our country. It is not the government's country. It is not any political party. It's not a ruling party. It's a governing party. They govern it for us because
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
we work for a living. We pay taxes. Any person, even the poorest oak out there, that's got his hand out getting a car guard, when he goes buy something in the store,
he's paying VAT.
He's paying VAT. He's paying taxes in some form or other. Okay, even if he doesn't pay the SARS. If he's a South African citizen, he has a share in this country, okay? And he's one of the owners of this country. The president is one of the owners of the country, but he only has one vote, okay? This is not a race thing. This is not how much money you own, what religion you are. It's nothing. We should look at making our company run the best we can. And unfortunately, our companies run, and we've hired them. We've hired people to run our company into the ground and make decisions that negatively impact all of us, from the richest person to the poorest person in South Africa.
Yep.
Sorry, that's my rant.
Not a problem. Cool. Okay, yeah, we took a little bit of a break there to go have some freshly baked cookies. So that was quite nice. But yeah, diving back in, going back to my trip down to Cape Town, and I know you like doing this as well, is finding second-hand stores.
Yeah.
And from a prepping point of view, the kind of stuff that you can actually find in second-hand stores. You got me recently some awesome cast iron skillets, which I really appreciate. Now, I still need to season properly or re-season. But while I was down in Cape Town, we found this little shop, I think it's called Granny's Attic or something like that, in the Brackenfell area. And it's literally this house in the middle of a suburb that has been converted into an antique shop, which I was more nervous there than I was inside the stadium at the concert, because I just kept thinking I was going to knock stuff over. And some of it's really expensive. But in the old house's kitchen, they had converted the kitchen section into just kitchen stuff.
Yes.
And you would have done your nut, dude. There was one wall that was just coffee grinders and meat grinders. Another wall that was just enamelware. You name the type of enamelware, it was, and that you can cook with, it was there. And then in the one corner, I actually got some photos. I'll put them on our Facebook page. Was these old glass butter churns. So it looks like a big glass jar, probably about 10 liters or so, with wooden paddles in its side. And it's like a giant mixer that you mix from the outside. And I was like, oh man, Ben would do his nut in this place. And then I found myself a mess kit, an old hiking aluminium mess kit with an alcohol burner in it. So the whole thing stacks together. I know you can still get them on the market, but they're getting quite pricey nowadays. And I picked this one up for $195.
Oh, nice.
And it's got essentially a frying pan and 2 pots and a stand that stacks with your little alcohol burner in it, which smells like they might have used paraffin last time. So I might just have to burn it clean and start again there. But it's all in working order. So yeah, that was a score. Yeah, and just like, guys, don't discount antique shops and junk shops and second-hand shops. A lot of my kit has come from those over the years.
Yeah, I've got a few alcohol burners and stuff, and I've done tests with like paraffin or benzene, and to see how the different things work. Unless you have to, because you have no other fuel, stick to meths or something like that in your alcohol burning stove.
Oh, it's just a lot cleaner burning, yeah.
Yes, because the soot on your pots are tremendous.
Especially with paraffin.
Yeah.
Well, the paraffin, I think with those high pressure, those like little old school primer stoves where you can actually pressurize it that tends to burn cleaner for some reason.
Because it's got a preheater.
Yes.
So the preheater heats it up, and then it comes out almost misted.
Yeah.
And then, so it goes, when you're lighting one of those liquid fuel stoves, in the beginning it's just a flame. And as it heats that preheating tube up, what happens is it starts sounding like a rocket engine.
Yeah.
And when it's doing that, then it's awesome. The heat you get off of it is tremendous.
Yeah, like I said, you get the old brass primer stoves, which they're heavy, so not great for hiking and stuff. I think Coleman used to do a brand.
Svea does one, SVEA. It's a Svea, I think it's 123 or something like that. It's a little, it looks like it's bigger than a coffee mug. And it's got the whole thing that you pump and put your benzene in and stuff, and it works incredibly well. A friend of mine has it, and we use it on a hike we did. We did manage to, on one of the nights, catch the whole thing alight. We thought we thought it was dead, and so he actually bought a new one when he was in the UK, or got it from the UK or something like that. And they're expensive.
Yeah.
But then we found out, it actually says they do not use a windshield with it.
Oh, really?
So we had a windshield around, and what obviously happens is when you have a windshield, the heat builds up there. And now the more heat, it heats up the fuel tank, as it were. And then the pressure goes up, and eventually it pops the safety valve.
Okay.
And now you have all that vapor coming out, catching a light. So what we thought was a catastrophic failure was actually
a safety feature.
So cooking next to the fire, next to the stove is a safety feature. But yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But they're very useful.
I know MSR does some great liquid fuel stoves as well.
Yeah.
But they are pricey now.
I've got the fire maple liquid fuel.
Yes.
And it works incredibly well.
Yeah. So the difference between what we're talking about right now is we've got a cylinder that you can then pressurize, same as with the Primus stoves, and the one that I bought. The one that I bought now is basically the equivalent of you see the guys making the tuna cans with the cardboard wrapped in it, soaked with wax. That's the difference kind of in burning systems. They both cook food. High pressure is going to boil water faster, and you can use it at altitude, that sort of thing. Where this is just literally a burner, kind of like almost like on a chafing dish, just to keep stuff warm. But you can cook a meal quite easily on this. It just takes a little bit longer to get the water up to heat.
Yeah, it works similar. It's actually more efficient than a fondue set. You know, that little burner on a fondue set.
No, those are tiny, yeah.
Yeah. Because of the holes and the way it's designed, it burns really nicely.
Yeah.
I like the liquid fuel. Simply, and a lot of people want to go liquid fuel because for a sustainability, cleaner environment thing, it burns a little bit more dirty than gas, but you're not throwing away cylinders of gas that are finished. Because now, if you carry a gas cylinder in, you have to carry it out, even if it's empty.
That's it, yeah.
And with the liquid fuel, you normally can run 3 different fuels. So you can run benzene, which is, what is it called? White gas or something?
White gas, yeah.
Which is basically unleaded fuel without all the additives in it. And you can run unleaded fuel, and you can run paraffin or kerosene. And so it gives you a range. And as a bit of a person with a prepping mindset and that type of thing, to have a way to make a fire, cook food with various fuel types is great. That little pot system that you've got, you can put. I've done tests with benzene or meths, in the alcohol stove. But if all else fails, you put a little grid there, and you take a little Esbit fuel tablet, and you put it
on top,
and you use that.
Yeah.
So you have different ways of actually being able to cook your food.
Yeah, that's what I really like about that. And I've actually been meaning to get myself, because I've got a normal billy kit that I take hiking and that sort of thing. But this just gives me an extra option for cooking. Bigger pots, bigger surface area, and an integrated heat source, yeah. So one thing is, you did mention methylated spirits.
Yeah.
Just guys, if you're going to use meths for anything, be very careful with it. It has got the highest flash point, or the lowest flash point, should I say, sorry, of a lot of the flammable liquids. And it vaporizes just looking at it wrong.
And it burns almost cleanly and clearly.
And you can very quickly cause a very bad fire with methylated spirits. It is highly, highly flammable.
Don't, obviously, don't use the stuff in a tent.
Yes. Also, never throw liquid fuels onto an open fire. Even something like diesel or petrol, I wouldn't recommend doing.
Diesel's better than petrol, but still not.
So I've heard horror stories with meths where guys have had like a little bit of mess and they've thrown it onto a fire. That flame will leap back faster than you can throw the stuff.
Yes.
Whereas with other liquids, they've got a higher flash point, so it takes a lot longer for it to burn. The meth just vaporizes instantly.
But even when you come to the end of its cooking, now the stove has gone out. Remember, the stove is hot.
Yeah.
So wait for a bit, blow on it, whatever else to keep it, to get it cooler before you put new meths in, because you don't want it to suddenly catch a light, or there's a flame that you didn't see, you think it's out, and then it burns all the way back into the bottle.
And then goes boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's not the right environment.
That's
That's not in the right environment for a nice boom. There are times and places for it, but not then.
Well, talking about booms, when we were at the concert, there was pyro and stuff going off. So Green Day was playing and they had these massive propane flamethrowers that were shooting flames all over the place. And we were standing near midfield but off center. And at one point in the one song, I thought it was a misfire from the propane flame. Because I saw this thing shoot up and then I just heard this, it sounded to me like a gunshot, but because of the echo of the stadium, it sounded like it was coming from behind me. And I literally thought somebody had managed to get a gun in and somebody had like fired a gun, and I'd drop and cover, dude. I looked like a bit of a tool, I'm sure. Hopefully nobody noticed. But yeah, it was in that situation, it was, it was 56,000 people there. If there had been an event and something had gone wrong, they had really well posted exits and that sort of stuff. But man, that's what I was most paranoid about the whole time I was there at the concert, was just the potential for something bad happening.
Yeah. Well, the one thing you were saying off camera was, or off recording, was with the amount of people there, that mob mentality thing.
Yeah.
Now, if something like that happened and people perceived a problem and they started moving and that mob starts moving, then it's very easy to get trapped. And if you haven't chosen your area well where you can stand, they will be running over you.
That's it. Yeah.
So when you go to a situation like that, or an event or whatever else, you either standing in the doorway that you're going to be out of quickly, or you're standing in a place where people are going to be moving towards an exit, normally away from you or diagonally.
Yeah. So, look, we went there to enjoy ourselves. We went there for fun. But we've seen so often overseas lately where attacks have happened at concerts.
Yes.
It happened in Paris. It's happened in other countries, like the States, is attacks, whether it's homegrown or domestic or foreign. That's not our issue. But attacks do happen. And as part of our prepper mindset is being prepared for what will we do if something happens at an event like that. So, for instance, when I go to a concert, I have nothing in my pockets. I have a sling bag that sits almost like a chest rig, and my wallet and my phone and everything that I can take in is there. Obviously, you're not allowed to take any weapons in with you, so I always feel totally naked not having my EDC knife, my pocket knife.
So it means you can only take ceramic knives in.
Yeah, I wasn't even willing to take that chance because I didn't want my non-metal knife being confiscated and never getting it back. So it was a hard choice to leave it at home, but I did leave it. I took it with me, but I left it at home.
Yes.
And then I've also got a pouch in there that's got a set of gloves, just in case I do have to It's like as basic first aid as stuff you can get.
Yeah.
That's more protecting myself in case something happens and there's a situation. But yeah, that's on me at all times.
You've seen these money belts, that against your skin underneath
Yeah.
that. Would it be a good idea to have all your personal stuff, like your driver's license, ID, whatever else, in that with the majority of your money, and then if you have a chest rig or a like a moon bag type of thing with all your stuff that you're going to be using, but if somebody cuts and runs, it's also not the end of the world.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different options with those. Like you're saying, you get those things are more for the traveling or for tourists and stuff. So like I said, it's a little pouch that sits under your shirt.
Yes.
They're great. The disadvantage with that is that you've got quite a visible string around your neck. And they're quite obvious. You can spot them. Like
I was thinking more that the money belt. If you're taking a moon bag and you're running it across from your shoulder to your waist type of thing, you can do the similar thing to one of these very flat money belts.
Yes. So the rig that I've got at the moment is quite a bit bulkier than that.
Yes.
But as opposed to a moon bag which has got a clip on it, this has got no clip.
Yes.
It's got a single strap. Yes, it can be cut, but I'm going to feel somebody tugging that, as opposed to somebody unclipping and pulling. So I feel more secure with that. That's why I chose that specific rig. I know Action Bulletproof in Durban was discussing a while back about doing chest rigs similar to this, and they were actually asking people for feedback. And one of the feedbacks that myself and some other people gave was maybe putting like a wire in the strap.
Yes.
So it makes, if somebody does come with a knife, they can cut the strap, but they're not going to cut through that wire.
Not easily.
Not easily, yeah.
Well, that's what I was looking at your bag and thinking, what about making that mod for yourself in your bag?
It is something I'm looking at doing, yeah. And then the other option is you get, we used to call them tourist belts. It looks like a normal belt, but so it's leather on the outside, and then on the inside it's canvas.
Yeah.
With maybe a small zip so you can fold up a couple of notes and slip them in. But unfortunately, driver's licenses and credit cards and that sort of thing don't fit into that.
Yeah, also it's a bit onerous when the traffic cop stops you and asks you for your driver's license.
Drop
and
your pants, yeah.
Drop your pants to show him.
But yeah, so, from the concert point of view, having a bag like that, I felt secure because my stuff was always in front of me. It wasn't in pockets because there's people bumping against you constantly. And we were in a section where we didn't move up into the crowd. We stayed in a fairly open area that we could. I knew exactly where my exits were, all that sort of thing. Same place as the beer. But yeah, it was interesting. It was I've never been in a crowd that size before. And just I can see how quickly at political rallies and religious gatherings and that sort of thing.
Soccer
events, sporting events, how people get swept up in what's happening.
Yes.
Musicians are very charismatic people. That's why they can stand on stage for 2 hours, belt out song after song, and the crowd is just in pure adoration of them. If one of those musicians had said to someone, do something, that person would probably have done it. Somebody in the crowd could have done something stupid. Not that they ever would do anything like that. But when it comes to, like, they'll do a chant. Hey, oh, hey, oh, and the crowd's, and everybody's just like, it's almost like zombified. And I caught myself doing it. And I'm going, why are you doing this?
Because you went to watch
Because we went to have fun.
Yes.
Okay, but at the same time, my mind's going, I can understand how people get caught up in this mob mentality and how riots and that sort of thing happen. Because you've got one person that's just can egg you on really easily. So that was quite eye-opening.
Yeah, it's also, the type of thing, you stand there with your arms folded and everyone's jumping up and down, people notice you.
Yeah.
Now, in some of these riots where people are just looting, people are like, yeah, but why didn't you just not? you possibly get to become a target pretty quickly. If everyone's doing it and you're not doing it, then people wonder why you're not doing it. You know, are you trying to be better than them or trying to gather evidence or whatever else?
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people just go along with it anyway, just to not be singled out.
Yeah, I can quite easily see in a full-on SHDF situation, if you had a charismatic leader just egging people on, how quickly a riot could spark off, and like you say, looting or attacks or xenophobic attacks and that sort of thing, how quickly it can happen.
But I mean, we don't even have to have the end of the world type thing. History has shown leaders, you know, going down that route.
Yep.
Riots in America or wherever else, that small things start, people gather, and then there's ultimately a small group of people who are pushing an agenda, and you can go into the conspiracy side of things there, but it is ultimately comes down to a small group of people pushing an agenda and the mob mentality taking over, and then all they have to do is get the suggestion and then they follow that suggestion.
I think there was an author years ago, I think it went, the IQ of the mob is the lowest IQ divided by the number of people.
That's a low IQ.
So, yeah, people in a mob mentality do stupid things. And I think the secret from a prepping point of view is not to get into that situation. So, yes, I was at a concert. I literally paid money to go and be in a mob. But at the same time, I was cognizant of the fact that something could happen. Didn't stop me from enjoying myself. Trust me, I had an absolute blast. As you can hear, my voice still hasn't recovered. And it was an amazing experience. But I still knew that something could happen. And what would I have done? I had my exits worked out, that sort of thing. Am I being paranoid? Who knows? Am I being paranoid enough? Who knows? But yeah, just if you don't have to get into a situation, stay out of a situation. If you see a gathering and people shouting, maybe don't go have a look. You know, stay away from what's happening down the road. Look after yourself first.
But it's also a thing to, if you have a mag, to have these discussions within the mag, within your family, so that they understand there is no reasoning with mob. You can't say, yeah, but I paid for all the stuff myself. They just like, well, you have all the toilet rolls. We want the toilet rolls.
Yes.
Okay, we're using toilet rolls again. But anyway.
It's a currency that people understand.
We've had recent history experience with it. So they got to understand that the best prep you can do is avoiding getting into that situation, avoiding that the mob ever finds out about whatever you've got, okay? Which means operational security, not inviting people into that are not part of your group. And the people part of your group have been vetted and tried and tested enough to be trusted with the information that if something happens, these are the steps forward. I mean, you can even go as paranoid as to not share everything with your mag, not have everything stored in one place, you know, or build a nice braai area. And inside the base of the braai is bricked in and concreted in your box with all your 72-year or 50-year MREs, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't check up on it, you can't do it. Once it's in there and no one saw you put it there, then you know if all else fails, you break down your braai and you've got your MREs.
And Brian, maybe not the best place because of the heat, but yeah, and I understand what you're saying, yeah.
So you think things through and plan for it. Yeah. Does that make you a little bit paranoid? Yes. Do you have reason to be paranoid? Possibly. Very possibly.
Yes.
And very good reason to be, especially when we've seen what happens whether it's the government wanting to take your stuff, people in South Africa rioting and want to take your stuff and burning down stuff, you choose to not isolate yourself, but insulate your life a little bit and the welfare of your family a little bit from the consequences of other people's actions. If you're trying to store, remember, if your house gets petrol bombed, everything that is not secure is gone.
Yeah.
So if you're storing in your house, where's it going to survive a fire? Do you have such a place? You know, where's it going to survive somebody breaking into your house just on a normal, like a thieving thing, you know?
Yeah.
Now, you've been collecting food for the last 5 years, slowly every month, and one evening somebody breaks in and all your prep is gone. And the thieves walk away with one hang of a smile on their face.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing, you know. It's very few of us have, very few people in South Africa earn the type of money to be able to just go out and in 1 month prep themselves up.
Yeah.
All of us have to save, and we have to be skint with stuff and slowly build up a store. And that's where going to secondhand places, coming back to that, is know your prices of everything, so that when you go into a secondhand place, you can get good value on things. Know what you're looking for. Know what a thing looks like if it's worn, or what a thing looks like if it's actually broken. So something that looks brand new might look like a wonderful deal unless it's broken and can't be used.
Yeah.
Something that's worn might actually be a better value than a thing that's broken and looks new. So, but it's just getting to know these things.
Yeah, get to know like with anything, get to know your products, get to know what you like, what you need, and what equipment can do for you. Yeah, knowing gear. Look, I was in the outdoor game for many years, so gear comes pretty naturally to me. But there's people out there that don't know the difference between a hollow fiber and a down sleeping bag. To them, it's a sleeping bag. And all the different variations in between. And not doing your research, especially on equipment. You want to know what you're buying before you buy it. That mess kit that I bought, I've seen those years ago. I've used them years ago. I've seen modern versions of it. I know how it works. I wouldn't have gone in and bought it even at 195 Rand if I didn't know. But yeah, just be cognizant of your equipment and your knowledge.
And it's like everything. If you buy this kit like you've done now, take a couple of meals, start cooking on it.
Yeah.
Know what the limitations are. If you buy yourself a down sleeping bag or a 50 gram per square meter hollow fiber full sleeping bag, and you think it's going to do for you, take a cold night in winter, go sleep on your porch, if it's safe where you are, wherever you are.
Even sleep in your bedroom in your sleeping bag, yeah.
Go experience it, because rather have the option to go back to your bed, nice warm bed, because your sleeping bag didn't work, or your nice, supposedly comfy blow-up mattress went during the night, and now you're sleeping on a hard towel.
As most blow-up mattresses do at some point.
So try these things.
Yeah.
Cook. If you like I'm doing at the moment, I'm going through and buying tinned food. I'm working my way through Food Lovers Markets, brand name.
They've got some nice stuff, yeah.
So all the stuff in brine. So I basically cook a meal with it and try it. Yes, it might not be the best meal ever, but I want to know that I'm choosing something that I would want to eat. So I buy 1 tin of each, try them, and then I like it, I go on. Like I love the little potatoes in brine and the carrots in brine. They're awesome. And you can use that brine to in like a soup or a stock and stuff.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I use that and add it in.
Just on that point of tinned food, I know we're going all over the place today, but this is kind of like more of a...
This
is our rambling chat.
This is our ADHD episode.
So I like that tinned chicken breast that you get. It comes in the same size can as a tuna can.
Yes, I tried that yesterday.
The Austin one, or did you use the one from Checkers? Farmers Market, I think they call it.
I don't know. I think it was blue.
Blueton. That's probably the Austin one, yeah.
I think it was a Spa,
Yeah.
possibly.
So at our local Spa here,
Tastes like tuna.
it tastes like chicken, dude.
It needed more chili. My wife just put some mayo with it.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to try it as bland as possible.
With any tinned meat, you need to add stuff to it to make it more edible.
Yes.
But the point I was trying to get to is that locally, I can get that for, I think it's 35 Rand a can, somewhere around there.
Yes.
Look, protein-wise, not cheap. There is cheaper protein, like tuna and stuff is cheaper, obviously. But you can't just eat fish the whole time. When I was in Cape Town, that exact same tin of chicken, 55 Rand. 20 Rand difference. So shop around. Know what your prices are. I know what the prices at my local Pick and Pay and my local Spar are on most of the tinned stuff because I buy it fairly regularly. And I was actually really surprised how isolated we here are on the garden route, that it was more expensive in Cape Town. And it didn't matter whether it was Checkers, Spar, Pick and Pay that I went to. We were cheaper up here. And that really surprised me.
And the other thing to look at as well is like I think one of the things you're getting from Temu is something about canning tools or something. But when a person gets into, pressure canning and pressure canning meats, it's like if you've learned to do chicken, you're going to pressure can chicken. What the guys do is take all the bones out. Now you get a special on Bry Packs or whatever else for chicken. Take all the bones out. You cook the stock down and you make a really good like stock broth. And then you put your chicken in the cans. You fill the broth up and you close it and you can it.
Yeah.
And what you do is just do small quantities in the beginning and try a little bit more salt, a little bit less salt, a little bit till you find what you want. And then you can do it. And then when you have deals where it's a special on chicken, you can do 10 cans of chicken, and then you can use that chicken while it's not on special.
Yes.
And then next time it goes on special, you can do it again and then do 20 cans.
And that's part of what prepping is about. It's not about the end of the world.
Yeah. Save money.
Nowadays, prepping we're not doomsday preppers. We're prepping for our future to help us, buying stuff now at a cheaper price and doing canning or dehydrating or freeze drying is putting away food at a good price because we know in a year's time it's going to be way more expensive.
But it's also building the skills now when you don't need the skill.
Yeah.
For if in case something happens in the future and we have another 2020 or we have something similar where the supply chains break down, and that's the big thing. Everybody's got a deep freeze mostly, except some of the really poorer communities and stuff like that. If the power goes out and you don't have petrol, you don't have solar, how long can you keep your deep freeze? I know if a chest freeze is properly prepped. Like what I do with mine is I take 2-liter water bottles or Coke bottles, and as I use stuff out of my deep freeze, I fill those bottles with water and put them in. So all you do is just push a bit of the play out the bottle, so that
It's got room to expand.
Yeah, it expands. And then what you do is you still have a huge thermal mass in your deep freeze because air doesn't freeze, so it defrosts very quickly. If you've got these bottles packed on top of your food, when your power goes out, those bottles have to defrost first before. And so your deep freeze can go almost a week or two without power, basically, depending on where it is and if it's properly prepped. But at some point, you're going to have to go, okay, well, the power's not coming on. I need to now preserve all that food. I can't eat it all. So I need to have the wherewithal, the knowledge, do I buy salt and take all my beef steaks and whatever else out the thing, or my chicken or pork or whatever else, and go pack it in salt? Or do I can it? Or do I make biltong out of it? And how do I do all that?
Yeah. So I was listening to the Casual Preppers podcast the other day, and they were talking about exactly that. So a situation happens, the flood, fire, whatever the case may be. Don't go and dive straight into your dehydrated stuff. Use the stuff in your fridge first.
Yes.
Then use the stuff in your freezer and work your way through your consumables. It's pointless when something happens that you dive straight into your 20-year shelf life food.
Yeah.
That's got 20-year shelf life. It's good, man. Leave it there. Use the stuff you've got now that is going to deteriorate and waste.
And if you have no power and you're doing that, take the stuff that you want to eat in the future out of your deep freeze, put it at the top of your fridge, okay? Put everything that is already wanting to be chilled lower down in the fridge and keep your fridge closed as long as possible. Or put it in cooler boxes. So the stuff that is frozen, that is slowly thawing, is keeping your fridge colder than ambient.
Yeah. And as my wife says, don't let the penguins out. Don't open the fridge or the freezer unnecessarily. Nothing's changed since the last time you were in there. Keep it closed. Keep as much of, like you said, that thermal barrier, that thermal mass in there. Keep it cold. Yeah.
And that's why sometimes having a nice cooler box is great, because you put your frozen stuff in, then you put your bottles of milk in as well, and the frozen stuff thawing keeps your milk cold. So it won't freeze the milk, but it will keep it from spoiling easily. And simple things like that just takes a little bit of thinking through it, and it makes sense.
No, cool.
So what else do you want to talk about?
So
books. I see a lot of books. That must be another one.
I think we'll end this episode here. I know we did talk about we were going to review a movie, which we're actually going to do now for our next episode, because our next recording session, we're actually both away on camps. So we're going to do a double take for this one. So we're going to record 2 in a row. But yeah, we'll leave this one here, and we'll see you guys for our movie review in the next episode.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is take a break now and
go have some more cookies.
Yeah, we were told we aren't allowed to eat all of them. But I think a good portion of them is not all.
We'll go dig in quick. Cool, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Off-Grid Survival. For more info and updates, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Off-Grid Survival ZA. That's it for now. We will see you next time. And always remember, be prepared.
Off-Grid Survival is a member of the South African Podcasters Guild. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and may not reflect OGS Media or the Guild's views. We aim for accuracy but cannot guarantee it. Please verify information independently. Consult professionals before acting on any advice given during these episodes. By listening, you acknowledge that we are not responsible for any damages resulting from reliance on our content. All content is provided without warranty.